All right, let's go ahead and get our team spawn point logic all worked out. So let's open it up. Let's see. We can get rid of this stuff as usual for now. We're going to basically do what we've been doing. So let's go ahead and make an event. Okay, our one that we've been doing. Drag off of here. At our call to super or parent. Get our game state. Cast to our game state. Right, if it's good, or we're going to promote it to variable to save it. Set a timer for next tick. And this is, I mean, you could just copy and paste, really, this one. Let's see, wait. Okay. When it's good, I'm going to make another event. Okay. There we go. And we're going to run an authority check. Okay, get our game state. Make it validated. Then we're going to, so we could do two things. We could either directly get team spawn points and add to it, and this is what I did in my demo, but I really don't like that, because this is the only thing that should be adding to team spawn points, but really to be, I don't know, to be consistent with everything that we've done, we should go into the game state and say add team capture point. We should make a function that does that. So let's go ahead and make a function in our game state. So in the game state, add the function, call it add team capture point. Oh, and I said team capture point. I meant team spawn point. And I got to get the camel casing right here. It's hard to see over this microphone sometimes. Okay, add team spawn point. All right, and then we'll make an input of the type team spawn point. Make sure it's an object. Okay, in team spawn point. And then we will get our, let's see, team spawn points. And because we're at initialization, we want to make sure it's an add unique here, just so we don't get duplicates. And we can even do an is valid check here. We don't need to, but I want to avoid any null pointers getting in there. I don't know how that would happen, but that's kind of the reason we do checks, because not always aware of all the ways things could go wrong until it happens. Okay. So I got my team spawn points. I'm adding unique, add team spawn points. I think that should be good. Let's go back to our team spawn point and then just do that function. Just like that. And don't forget, obviously, to plug in what you're putting in, which is this. Okay, so now the team spawn point has reported itself. You could call it registering. You could say register, whatever you want to. But that's what we're doing. And that's better than, not knowing when things are loaded in and just saying get all actors of class at the beginning of the game, because the spawn point might not have loaded in fully if you did that on your game state. So there you go. So let's clean up our work. We would never turn in something like this because it would not go well. So add our comment. copy the name. And I know I've said this a million times, but you would obviously add more comment after this. You would say dash and then whatever it's going to do, which would be register this with the game state, something like that. Okay. Comment. About left aligned. All right. And let's see. There. A little crooked. Q queen. Okay. All right. Nice and orderly. Looks good. So our team capture points are reporting. Let's go ahead and get our player controller all set. Okay, so I know earlier I said the player state's like the soul of the character, right? Maybe player controller would be a better representation as that, because like the player state is used for stuff you want to replicate to other players, whereas the player controller is for stuff you don't want to replicate. And it's always what you always have it. It's like the first thing you have. It's like the only thing you're guaranteed to have, and that's going to be ready is your controller. So it's like who you really are as a player. So we put things in there we don't want to replicate. So a lot of UI goes in there. It's great for UI. But we wouldn't put anything like health or something in there, something we would want another player to know about. And in fact, if you try to, say, cast to another player's player controller, only the server knows about it. So if you were trying to replicate something from the player controller, it's not going to work. It is not meant, it's specifically not meant to replicate. So don't ever make that mistake. It's very easy to do. If you're, say, in a player state and you're like, oh, I need to cast the controller and get like some name or something like that, and that cast will fail on all the other clients, no matter how replicated it tries to be, it will not work. So just keep that in mind. Okay, so let's start with, we're going to do a check to make sure that we are the local controller. Okay, so that we're not the, when this begin play runs, it's going to fire on the client that it owns it, and it could also fire on the server. So the server player, he will get this event too. So we want to make sure this is just the local guy. And what we're going to do at the begin play, we're basically going to get our UI set up. So let's start by making sure that our mouse cursor is not shown. Now, the reason we need to do that is because when we start the game, we're going to, if you were to start this game, you would have it on an entry level, and then that level, it's going to mainly be UI, right? Like most games, you select where things are. So when you come into this player controller, and this is going to be our gameplay player controller, we want to make sure that, that we don't have any mouse showing for whatever reason. And we're going to set our input to game mode only. Put a reference to ourself. Set that in there, and so that will just make our not the mouse, but so you're not. It's just the mode you're supposed to be in, so that way you're not in a UI type mode. And we're going to do just the opposite, so you're going to get to see when it's on and when it's off, and these will make a little more sense when we set it right in the UI. Okay, now let's create our main HUD widget. So to do that, just say create widget. Okay, and did we do a main HUD? Let's see, capture point. We did the world widget, but we haven't done the HUD. So let's go ahead and create our main HUD widget. So let's browse into here. We got our capture flag world widget. Let's do user interface. And I'm going to do that over here so I'm not covering it up. User interface. Widget. We'll do the user widget. The reason I'm pausing is because I'm like, I want to do a parent widget for this, but we'll just start off with inheriting from here for now. And we'll call it, let's see. I'll just capture flag HUD. That'll work. And we don't need to do anything with it yet. So let's go back. Just say capture flag HUD. There we go. And then let's promote that to a variable. Okay, and we only want to create this widget if it's not valid, right? So let's revert to a validated get. All right, and that works. The reason you would do this is because this event play, let's add our call to our parent function. It get called numerous times, and then what it'll look like is you'll say hide the widget, and the widget won't hide, and you won't know why, but it's because you actually have two. And when you do the second time around, it overwrites your previous your previous cached value, your reference here. And then so when you use that reference to hide the widget, when you start the game, or when you or when you want it to go away for whatever reason, it's still there. It's because you had a duplicate. Very easy to do here, so I definitely need to do that check. And then after you do this is another thing that's easy to forget, add it to the viewport. All right, looks pretty good. Okay, so over here we got our handle endgame and reset the controller. So let's go into our those are going to do things to our main HUD that we just made. So let's put the events in there. Okay, go over to your graph. Let's see, get rid of our tick. We might use those later, so let's just add our events. We'll say play, end, animation, and reset controller. Okay. Animation, reset controller, or reset widget. Reset controller is going to call reset widget. Okay. Let's get our reference that we saved for our HUD. Validated get. And off of here, say play end animation. That's the end game, end animation. And then let's do the same thing here. Copy paste. We got reset controller. We're going to do a reset widget here. Q doesn't work with these. You press Q, it makes them crooked. I can't stand it. Okay. So make a comment, handle endgame. Comment. Reset controller. Line these up. Some color behind it. Easier to see. And as you can tell, we got the winning team, but nothing here. So we need to add the team. Back in our widget. Input. There it is. It's hiding over there. Our team enum. Okay. And we'll name that in team. Save it. Back to our controller. Plug it in. Change the color so we can actually see it. There it is. And obviously, or not obviously, but our end screen is going to be different if it's your team that wins or if it's the other team that wins. So that's why we had to plug in our team. All right, let's go ahead and we got all this logic flowing here. I'm sure there's more stuff we have to do, but we don't really know all that we're missing until we get the UI going. So let's get our UI, then we can really start testing stuff. Okay, so let's start our UI adventure with the capture point world widget. All right. Okay, let's start off with a scale box. Let's drag it onto here. Then we're going to need a size box. Put it onto here. And then let's do an overlay. And we'll kind of go over. I'm not a UI genius or anything. I used to do it for a little while. I kind of moved over to gameplay soon. Pretty soon after I started working on games. So I do know UI, but it's not my specialty. So I will explain these the best I can. We'll get it looking reasonable and leave it up to you to make it look pretty. So let's keep going. Add a progress bar. Zoom out so you can kind of see what's going on. Scale box. And then a text box. Text, not text box. Okay. Let's set our text to a letter Z. Okay, let's make our scale box. We'll set these to fill. Okay, our size box, we're actually going to go ahead and override the width and the height. Let's make them about 45. Scale box, let's see what we need to do here. Set that to none. Okay, our progress bar, let's put that to fill. Cool. All right, in our progress bar, let's set the background. There. Okay, let's make sure that's what we want here. We'll do a 0.5. And then we'll set the color to there. There, that's what I'm looking for. Now let's check that out. The fill. There we go. Okay, that's kind of what we want to have happen. Let's add a little, let's add a little bit of padding to that progress bar. So let's say 2. Check that out. All right.